Hey everyone, Stacks here. Welcome to the channel. Today I'm checking out Excalibur number 3 by Tini Howard, Marcus Toe on the art, and Eric Arcianega on colors. So Excalibur 2 kind of ended in a weird manner. They jumped through to Otherworld and Shogoo turned to a dragon. Apparently it is official that he did turn to a dragon. But let's first jump to Richter. You can tell that Richter is in a state of absolute depression. His house is full of bottles. It seems that he has lost control over his abilities, and every time he steps on solid ground or steps out on Earth, his powers kick in, they overdrive, and he starts creating an earthquake. And throughout the panels here, you have the news going in the background, and you have a bunch of individuals that he sees jumping through the portals to Krakoan. He actually sees some of them that apparently they're dropping their clothes and running naked through the portals. And, you know, why not? But while he's doing all this, he gets a telepathic message just saying his name, Richter. He tells it, go away. And it says, look, we're your family. And they keep begging him, come home. And he just says, I can't. Quit harassing me. I just need to go away. And he pulls this base off and he just lays in the dirt that he has in the house. And he just rumbles around him in this contained space. From there we jump to Morgan Le Fey, who is talking to Mariana Stern as she's still dealing with this Krakoan vines coming through her end of the portal, basically. And what she's asking her is, okay, who's causing this? And then Mariana tells her she believes it's Apocalypse. And then Morgan Le Fey also asks her, have you told Black Air, which is an arm of the British intelligence services? And she's wanting to inform them because basically you have Captain Britain, who is no longer a British citizen, is instead a citizen of Krakoa. And she believes that once the British people find out that Captain Britain is a citizen of a separate sovereign nation, it's going to create riots in the streets of Britain. Well, it's at that time that Shogoo happens to fly by. And we find out basically that, first of all, Jubilee's about to have a panic attack, but we also find out that he can assume whatever shape he wants to, apparently, in Otherworld. Once he came through the portal, he chose to be a dragon. And since Shogoo's already flown over the area and has found Camelot, basically they're using him via psychic connection as aerial reconnaissance. They know where the castle is, they kind of know the fortifications, and they can go from there. Of course, one of the problems is getting there. Well, apparently it doesn't dawn on Gambit that they can just get on the back of the dragon and fly there, who he does eventually offer to do that for him. Shogoo says, yeah, I'll just give you a ride. But Gambit is once again stuck on, why am I here? He's pointing this out. Why am I here when Rogue is back in a lighthouse? And I keep bringing it up. Why is he here and not back there with Rogue? It doesn't make a lot of sense. He doesn't want to be there, but every time they have this conversation, he just comes back around to Captain Britain saying, but I need you. And it's like, why do you keep going for it? You don't have to do. There are there's a whole island of mutants that could have win on this, and yet Gambit keeps having to be the guy that he has to go. It doesn't make sense to me. Anyways, getting back to the mission. The mission's simple. They're going to fly in, basically do a quick extraction of Brian Braddock, and they're going to get out. Now, one of the problems is they can't read Brian Braddock's mind, but Captain Britain instead can read the mind of all the guards and find out what location where Brian is stashed, basically. And I got news for her, though. Brian ain't ready to get rescued. He's more he keeps calling her the Pretender, and he basically wants to whip her tail. So when it's go time, Shogoo flies him over the wall, drops him in. They hit hard up front. Gambit, Jubilee, and Captain Britain all come out swinging. However, they don't engage with Shogoo. And they don't engage with Shogoo because Jubilee is scared that he's going to get hurt. And it's finally, Betsy's like, look, he's covered in scales and he breathes fire. He's an asset to it. If you don't let him help us, we're going to die here. And I completely agree. He was your shock and awe, and you didn't use your shock and awe. Shame on you, Captain. Well, Shogoo's doing some by himself, but still not fully engaged, and that's when Brian shows up, decked out in the black armor, looking like a complete beast, and guy actually says, keep hold tight, men, he's a beast. And as far as brainwashing goes, they've done a complete, brain dump on Brian Braddock, because he is convinced that, she's the Pretender, she's fake, he's the real captain, and she's like, come on back, it's yours, you can have it. But before this fight can get to a decisive point, Shogoo flies in. hits the whole crowd, including right in front of Brian Braddock with dragon fire, and basically breaks up the fight and extracts everybody. Of course, Brian isn't going with him. He's still standing tall in the black armor. And that's it. They extract, and they're heading back, I'm assuming, back to Krakoa to regroup. From there, we jump to Apocalypse, who is back at the lighthouse. He was tasked himself, actually, with defending it, and he is opening a portal. And when he does, he walks through and strolls into basically a park. I'm going to assume it's Central Park because it's always Central Park. And he wanders right through this crowd of people. He walks into Richter's house, pulls this cushion or whatever is covering him up, and tells him, "Young man, I've come to take you home." And Richter freaks out. He's like, "Apocalypse!" And he's like, "Look, I can't control my powers. I can't. If I will split that whole continent or whole island in half if you take me." Finally, Apocalypse tells him, "Look, the ground outside and anywhere else is yours to command for miles beneath the soil. You are mutant. It is your gift. You are afraid. Fear is not something we contend with anymore. The monster, this depression that sits on your soul, has no quarter in the high places of our new world, our Krakoa. Come, there's nothing you can break that I cannot fix." And from there, Richter follows him. Well, I'm assuming that Richter followed him because he comes through behind him, but I'm like, how did he get to the portal? Did Apocalypse have to carry him to the portal? I don't know. I'm just speculating here. But anyways, they're back at the lighthouse, and that's when somebody says to Richter, "Hey, you're not Captain Britain." And this just so happens to be Pete Wisdom of MI13, Division of Black Air, British Secret Intelligence. But these guys are the same ones that were mentioned earlier as far as distributing information that Captain Britain is no longer a British citizen and instead a Krakoan citizen. But Petey Boy here, he's no joke. His ability is he basically has knife claws with his fingers, and he can absorb the heat and turn his hands as hot as the sun. He can also shoot his fingers. I don't know how that works exactly, but that's part of his power set. But that's it for Excalibur number 3. We do have the cipher this time, which ends up being Word to the Wise. So as far as my thoughts on the book, the best part of the book was Apocalypse and Richter, and really that was not a lot happened there other than Richter dealing with depression and Apocalypse swooping in and saving him and saying, "Hey man, you're coming to Krakoa." There are some white pages that one of them is text messages, or I'm sorry, it's actually a forum where somebody's asking the question about, "Hey, I can't control my powers. Has anybody reported anything happen like that on Krakoa?" And it's obvious that it's Richter that's the one who sent it. And then there's another white page about MI13 and talking basically the, "Hey, everyone, check it out. Captain Britain is no longer a Brit." I thought this issue was better than number 2, but I still, this one's dropping as far as in the, if you're ranking the X titles for me. It's just, what just happened? They tried to do a really quick extraction, failed miserably. It made it clear that Brian was not interested in being saved at this point, not while he's under the spell of Morgan Le Fey. But it's going to be interesting to see where they go from here with Black Air getting involved and trying to figure out this whole piece with Britain, and then you're going to have the whole Crown MI13 involvement, Otherworld. It still has a lot of potential. I'm really interested to see what Apocalypse is doing here, but unfortunately, I'm more interested in the other side of this with what was shown in Xmen number 2 with the Summoners. I've already touched on the Gambit piece and how I don't think that makes any sense, so I really don't want to belabor that point. I do enjoy the book. I guess it's almost like a guilty pleasure though, because I know it's not good, but it's a fun read, and that does matter. If you have fun reading a book, you're gonna more likely to pick it up again, even if you know it's bad. And I guess I'm just interested at this point, and interested to see how this ties eventually into the other X titles. Anyways, guys, Tell me what you think going forward. I appreciate you watching. If you haven't yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I appreciate you stopping by the channel. Hit a like and leave a comment below. And if you haven't, hit the bell for notifications. That way, that first hour is really key for hopping on and having conversations right after the video drops. So, guys, hope to hear from you soon. That's all I got. Real Comic Stacks out.